back to this week's episode of Hotter Than Health. I'm so happy you're here. It is getting to be warmer weather. Of course, there's summer storms, but for the most part, it's becoming consistently more gorgeous outside. If you're listening in Australia, anywhere where it's cold, it's just give it to us. It's summertime. We need to get out there. Seasonal depression had been real, but I really feel like we are getting into just the best time of year. People are getting over their allergies because we are moving past spring onwards to summer. June is next week. So we're going to get into two very important topics: on-the-go treats high in protein and best non-toxic sunscreens. Those are the two topics we're going to cover. Of course, we might have a mini quick tangent. We might add in a quick story here and then. But for the most part, I want you all to leave thinking, dang, if I go into Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, even a gas station, maybe you're on a road trip going to the lake and you're going to Buc-ee's and you walk in and you think, okay, I need some stuff for a boat day, or I am in a pinch, in a bind, need a snack. I want to make sure you're armed with the right reinforcements, the right nutrition. And then I, of course, want to get into sunscreen. We have covered both of these topics before, of course. However, we're going to dive a little deeper, different products, some updates. And I just think that it's best to keep this top of mind. Of course, as I'm recording this, it is 6:47 on a Wednesday. This is going to come out in 8 hours. And Run Club is going by, one of the many run clubs in my neighborhood, and it's making me hype. Tomorrow is my run club. If you live in Charlotte, I say my run club, it's just the one I go to. The 4-mile loop at one of the coffee shops near my house. It's just the best. So if you were thinking, man, should I get into a run club? The answer is yes. Oh, you don't run? That's fine. Most places have different timed groups you can go in. If you don't run, it's not really an option. It's truly just such a great, easy way to be social. See, tangent number 1, we're finished. Let's hop in to this week's episode, starting out with some of the top-rated, most popular protein bars. The goal here is to break down 6 different protein bars, and I tried to craft this list into some of the more popular ones that you would find in a variety of different stores all throughout the country. I didn't want them to be all bars that you could only find at Whole Foods, because if that's not your store of choice, or maybe you shop somewhere else, I wanted to give a nice variety. First, we are starting protein bars. We're starting with No Cow. I wanted to start here because I had one a few hours ago. That's why I also wanted to touch on this episode. Look, the bars themselves, physically, they're delicious. They're dairy-free. What they're known for in these No Cow bars, beautiful branding, they are known for being dairy-free. That's why it's No Cow. It's a plant protein, 1 gram of sugar, 14 grams of fiber, and 200 calories. And what I like about these was I like that it has, I'm not even as focused on plant-based ingredients. That's great. But I like that it has a rice protein. I like that it has stevia and a monk fruit. One thing I don't know is I know that rice can be heavily sprayed with crop spray or pesticide. So do I know that these are organic? No, I don't. But do I like to think that they are? Absolutely. Let's get into the macros of it all. For the No Cow bars, I did have one of these, and the thing that it will trick you with, it says 1 gram of sugar. However, there are sugar alcohols, and that is part of the marketing for a lot of bars that frustrates me. They'll say monk fruit and stevia, and that's all great, but there's still erythritol. There's erythritol, natural flavors, and there's still some extracts in there. All of that being said, it frustrates me when brands really promote 1 gram of sugar when it really is 1 gram of total sugars technical sugars. Because when you're really looking at it, the sweetness will come from erythritol. The sweetness will also come from a sweetener blend, which has some stevia in it and monk fruit. So they can brand it by saying, we have monk fruit in it. Yes, but that doesn't mean it's the only thing you have in there. That frustrates me a bit. The reason I wanted to put this out there is because it's delicious. I do like the macros within this, which again, the total calories 200, total protein 20 grams, and it's not as often that you see something with this high of protein with this high of fiber. I want to back up and make sure we remember the rule of 4 or 5 when it comes to fiber. This is going to be relevant, so listen up, get your pens and paper ready. If you're looking at a bar and you understand that there's going to be carbs, protein, maybe some fats, and if there is some fiber, great. But fiber, when you're looking at a protein bar, it's not the first thing you're going to look for. You're going to look for the protein. So you immediately look at this and you think, oh, 20 grams of protein, that's great. Only 200 calories, that's a great ratio. 6 grams of fat, nothing crazy, but you see carbs, 26 grams, also nothing crazy. But you think, you don't really think about fiber. For the rule of 4 and 5, you want to be able to look at the total carbohydrates, in this case being 26. And if you can divide 4 or 5 into that and get the fiber, meaning if this has approximately 25 grams of carbs, if you could use the rule of 4 or 5, you divide 25 by 5, you get 5. So if this had 5 grams of fiber, I'd think, oh, that's a good ratio. So for every 5 grams of carbohydrate, you want to have approximately 1 gram of fiber. In this case, there's 26 grams of fiber. There's 26 grams of carbs and 14 grams of fiber. The ratios are bomb. This is really good. And this is a lot of it's coming from soluble corn fiber. There's a vegetable protein in there. There's a tapioca fiber. So they're loading you up with fiber, which is great because sometimes if you're just starting to eat more protein, then you do want to make sure that you're consuming fiber to just get it out of you. Fiber is literally just the indigestible part of a carbohydrate. So higher the fiber, lower the net carbs. All is good. Overall, I like this brand for the macros. I think the macros are really fabulous. Do I love the ingredients? No. Do I think that they're horrific? No. This is my meh, or as the kids call it, mid option. So the no cow tastes delicious, great macros. If you're in a pinch, great, but just know it's you might have a tummy ache because of all the erythritol. That's what I'll say about that. Oh. Let's move on to the next bar. Go Macro. Go Macro. I appreciate a Go Macro bar. Let me tell you why. I appreciate a Go Macro bar because they're female owned. That's all great, but they're certified organic, vegan, gluten-free, kosher, non-GMO, clean. They do their work to not only pay for and promote the fact that they go out of their way to have things be USDA certified organic. And they don't just have a regular organic sticker on there. They say USDA certified organic, which do I think it's 100% anywhere? No, but it definitely helps. So it has a ton of different certifications. So even if it doesn't have the most insane macros, literally macros, if it doesn't have the most insane macros, this is still chemically safe. In a way. Now, I want to go back to the protein bars. I saw these today. I was in Whole Foods, wanted to take a look. We're looking at the peanut butter chocolate chip. They sell these at Trader Joe's. They sell these at a lot of gas stations. They sell them at Whole Foods, Harris Teeter. They're all over the place. Now, looking at the nutrition, The serving size is 290 calories, and the total fat 11 grams, total carb 39 grams. So here's where I'm gonna get dicey with it. The protein is 11. Nothing to shy away from. Great, 11 grams of protein. But if you're looking for the most bang for your buck, this has good ingredients, better ingredients in my eyes than the no cow bar. And I'm an ingredient girl, absolutely. But if you really want to stay a little bit fuller, you're also looking at this has slightly lower protein. The last bar had 20 grams and was lower calories, and this has 11 grams, slightly higher calories. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to implement that rule of 4 or 5 for the fiber. This is going to tell us how processed those carbohydrates are. This is going to tell us if the fiber has been stripped down or the carbohydrates have been stripped down so much that the fiber isn't even really intact. So this is looking like total carbohydrates. Let's round it up from 39 to 40 just for math's sake. Total carbs, 40 grams. Total fiber, only 2. So if you're looking at that and you're using the rule of for every 1 gram of fiber, you want 5 grams of carbs. For this, you're looking at for every 1 gram of fiber, there's 10 to 15 carbs. So in my eyes, I think that if you are a runner and you need a pre-workout or a post-workout, a higher carbohydrate, if you're going for a long run, this might be a good fit too, because you're looking at this, there's no erythritol, there's no super fake sugar by any means, which I'm a huge fan of. This won't upset your tummy really. I don't even love saying tummy. This won't upset your stomach. So if this is a great pre-workout, if you have a long run or if you plan on burning a lot of calories, you need some quick energy. Yes, higher carb, lower fiber, because if you're going on a long run or doing an intense workout, like your body doesn't necessarily want to be messing with fiber because it's going to try and get it out, and you know what that means. Like tight shorts, long marathon, you're in trouble or you need a porta potty. This is not as focused on protein. This is a great for runners bar. That is what I'm going to say. If you're lifting, go no cow. Just know you might have a stomach ache. But if you are running, go to a Go Macro bar, but know that you're not really going to be getting much fiber or protein. This is great for quick energy. Notice how each one of these has, it has its place. This is going to be our running bar. The Go Macros are going to be our running bar. The No Cow bars are going to be our post-lift bar. And then here we go into the Aloha bars. I want to do Aloha bars because one, I think the branding is great. I think they do a great job with their packaging. That's just from a visual perspective. I also love them because my sister Alexa loves them. She told me a story the other day. Not even a story, but there's some days where she drives into the office. She drops off the babies at Nana and Papa's house. They get to watch the babies for the day, and they keep Aloha bars in their pantry so that when she drops them off in the morning, she's like, dang, I wish I could be hanging out with you guys. But her silver lining of dropping the babies off over there, Belle and Thomas, she gets her little Aloha bar and she gets excited about it. And I wanted to break it down. Alexa is incredibly healthy and also appreciates some good ingredients. So let's break this down for her, because I think this might be a really great middleman. I think she'll be happy here. Okay. When we're looking at Aloha bars, you can find these in tons of different places. I know they have them at Whole Foods and not positive where else, but I know I've seen them. What I like about these is they don't have nothing is super artificial. They are USDA organic as well, non-GMO, certified B Corp, all those good things. This is a middleman between the first 2 bars. Okay? So Dorothy and the 3, what is it? No, not Dorothy. Goldilocks and the 3 bears. This is the third bed where she's like, this is pretty comfy. This is pretty comfy. A little higher in protein, lower in calorie, slightly higher in fat, but that might be actually a pretty good thing for these ratios. But check out this fiber. Okay, protein is 14 grams. So the first was 20, second bar was 11. This one is right in somewhere in the middle, 14 grams of protein. Okay, this is a nice snack. 14 grams of protein, looking at the total fat, 12 grams, and then looking at total carbohydrates. Now, say it with me. The rule of 4 or 5 is say it with me slowly, for every 1 gram of fiber, you want to have at least 4 or 5 grams of carbohydrates. This has 10 grams of fiber with 24 grams of carb. So we are awesome. We're at like a 50% ratio. We're at like a 1-to-2 ratio. This is looking good. The second ingredient in here is tapioca fiber, meaning watch yourself. I hesitate about having fiber mixed with certain types of sugar alcohols. Erythritol seems to do something to my stomach if it's mixed with tapioca fiber. So this one has a tapioca syrup, a vegetable glycerin, cane sugar, a couple of other pumpkin seed proteins, and tapioca fibers. So the Aloha bars are actually much better on my stomach. But again, this is more of a energy, good for the morning before a workout. Maybe you have a busy day and you need some quick acting carbs. Maybe you're in your follicular phase right after your period. So like a week and a half after your period, or for a week and a half after your period, you can do all the carbs, you're feeling good. Maybe the Aloha bar is your go-to. Let me look at these fun flavors though, because this is the branding. If you go onto their website, the branding it looks like a Sherwin-Williams on their website. Okay. Oh, and they have a sampler pack. Let's go. First, almond butter cup. Banana bread, that would be my jam. Blueberry, love an artificial blueberry. Apparently the lemon is very popular. They have a chocolate chip. They've got a mint, oatmeal protein. I think some of these are just specialty. Maple sea salt, maybe that's a seasonal guy. Yeah. These are a good option, in my opinion. Okay, here's one that I know you've seen before. And if you can't think of the name of these, once you see the picture of them, you can cross-reference and look online if you're listening. The Think bars. It's just all lowercase think exclamation point. I remember when I used to work at Yelp. And don't come at me, I had nothing to do with reviews. People who work at Yelp don't have anything to do with the reviews. I got into a whole thing about this last week, and I will die on that hill. Like, advertising didn't do anything to do with reviews. So if you work at Yelp, send them my way. I've got some stories. Okay, tangent over. I remember I used to go to the gym when I lived in Arizona. I would lift in the morning, 6 a.m., get into the office by butt in seat by 8 o'clock. I would grab an oatmeal, put a scoop of protein in my oatmeal, mix it up, and then I would have a Think high protein bar. So I was just crushing 40 grams of protein before my day even started. People were opening up their eyeballs, and I had, been squatting more than my body weight, knocking out 40 grams of protein. That was also when I had the biggest butt I've ever had. So there's something to it, guys. It's not the same body anymore, but it's also very different lifestyle. I was 23, 24, fun times. The Think protein bars, I am a fan of in a pinch. These would not be my selection for an every single day bar anymore. These would not be my every single day bar. But they are low glycemic index. So if you are someone who's watching your sugars or watching your blood sugars, this is a good one for you. 230 calories, a little bit less than the most. Actually, this has been the least calorically dense option we've had on there. I know that they serve, you can find Think bars almost anywhere. Anywhere you can find like a bar section, you can find a Think bar. 230 grams or calories, 9 grams of fat. But here's the ting. Sugar alcohols, 11 grams. So it's saying low GI, and that's just because there's no real sugar. They just add fake sweeteners. Look, I'm not saying don't eat these, but I am saying like watch yourself. These are not the ingredient type of bars. These are like for the macros. These are not for, this is for the protein. This is for the protein and the flavor. Maybe, yeah. But if you're looking at the ingredients, the soy protein blend, calcium caseinate, whey protein isolate, maltodol syrup, which is a fake sugar, vegetable glycerin. There is sunflower oil, peanut oil, sunflower and or soy lecithin, and then natural flavors. I would simply be cautious of this. If you are low glycemic, fully understand, but just know that oftentimes the low glycemic bars, if you are shopping for convenience for a quick snack, great protein, so good for blood sugar anyways, but the sugar alcohol content freaks me out. It's 11 grams. They're not even trying to hide that. It's just like, yo, you're here for the protein. I like these for once in a while. They are a sweet treat. I will say, texture-wise, out of every single one of the bars that we have talked about, the Think bars have the best texture. They just do. They just do. We're going to do one more kind of bar. And I need to do this for my own sanity. I'm going to get hate because these bars are everywhere. These bars are everywhere. And this isn't personal. Okay, this is not personal. But the Kind bars. The Kind bars. I just don't understand how people are packing these into their every single day and saying that it's just like a health treat. Maybe it's just kind to the environment. That's fine. This is, again, not at all. This is not a dig. It's just you're here listening to a health podcast. I've got to preach it. These are a treat. Okay? Kind bars are a treat. Don't break your fast in the morning with just a Kind bar. They're fine. They're not anything insane in calories. They're 190 calories. But if you're looking at the ingredients, it's glucose syrup, palm kernel oil, cane sugar, soy lecithin, oh my gosh, natural flavors. Again, it's not like on the spectrum, it's not like we have red dye 40 in here by any means. I just want people to know that 9 grams of added sugar. There's maybe even though there's no sugar alcohols in here, I get that. But, and it does follow the rule of 5 with the fiber. It's got 20 grams of carbs, 5 grams of fiber. I just look at these ingredients and truly think that this is a treat. I think it's a treat. It doesn't have a whole lot of substance. There's 3 grams of protein. And I'm not saying protein is king. But if you are grabbing this for any type of real substance, you're barking up the wrong tree. Are they delicious? Yes. If they were around and I hadn't had lunch and I was snackalicious, would I eat one? Yes. Would I ever purchase one? No. If it was just around, even the mini ones, I'd be like, you know what? Yes. But I would treat it as such, as a treat. Okay. If I were to rank No Cow, Go Macro, Aloha, Think, and Kind bars. Okay. Going in at number 5, Kind bars. I think it's very clear. Go Kind bars. They're a treat. I wouldn't even put them in the protein bar category. So just know that. It is an accessory to maybe have a bowl of cottage cheese, have some vegetables, have some sourdough, and add some avocado and cream cottage cheese on top. And then have your Kind bar and enjoy. My second, I'm going to be really honest, it's going to be No Cow. Y'all might be surprised by... No, I'm sorry. 4 is going to be think bars. Kind bars, then think bars. Because looking at the ingredients, think bars, they're lowest in fiber. They're not wildly bad ingredients by any means, but they're the lowest in fiber. They are also not the most incredible ingredients. So, not a huge, massive fan, especially with the sugar alcohols. Coming in third place, I'm going to say no cow. I'm going to say no cow because I had one today and I think that the fiber, the synthetic fiber coming from tapioca fiber, mixed in combination with the erythritol, it gave me a stomach ache. It definitely did. It's the only thing. I ate it on a completely empty stomach. It was like an hour after my last meal. Hadn't been drinking water, nothing crazy. It gave me a little weird stomach ache. I wish it didn't because it was delicious, but stomach ache did ensue and it's still here right now. In second place, I'm going to go macro. Go macro. Like I said, if you are needing some quick energy, it's not crazy high in fiber. There was 11 grams, which is again not like super gonna keep you full, but it is higher in calorie because high carbs, decent fiber. This is good for, or not decent fiber, lower fiber, because you don't want to worry about pooping your pants if you're on a long run. So you can think that macros are good for the carbohydrates. This is, I believe, a runner's snack. I say runners or like someone who's just expending a lot of calories throughout the day, high calories. You know what? I got to give it to my sister. And I hope this makes her day when she gets excited about dropping off the kids for the work day. She gets to go get her little bar. I would be interested to see what her favorite flavor was. I'm going to go ahead on a limb and say it's going to be, you know what? She always surprises me, so I really don't know. But if I were a betting girl, I know she likes peanut butter, so if it's not something with peanut butter, maybe chocolate fudge brownie. But I can also see her girl, I don't know, they all look good. She has a sweet tooth and nothing would surprise me. I think Aloha bars are my top choice. 20 grams of fiber. You've got 20 grams of protein. Oh no, this is the 14 grams of protein. Decent ingredients. It does have really good fiber in there. And I think ratio-wise, if you're looking at the calories of 240 calories, 14 grams of protein, 10 grams of fiber, I think you have, and 12 grams of total fat. I do think this bar would do the best job of balancing, keeping you full with good ingredients. So that's my soapbox about protein bars. I love this. This is fun. Let's get into sunscreens. So now we know what to fill our bodies with, but what do we rub our bodies down with? For all my bald-headed friends out there, please listen up. We want to keep everyone safe and lathered. For any of the girlies, we got to make sure we're covering our necks. We got to make sure we're covering our faces, the top of our hands. We can't forget the top of our hands. So if you need to put some sunscreen in your car and make sure that you're getting your hands every time you drive, it's like when you get your fingernails done, and if you've ever had your fingers put in the UV to dry the nail polish, it's like that every time I drive. I feel like that's what I'm always picturing. I always remember my mom used to say she would look down at her hands and think that her hands had aged more than the rest of her body, but that girl always had her fabulous nails done. She always had the best manicure. She was cool. She always had like a bomb French manicure too, and she could pull it off. She could pull it off at any day, any time of day. But I just remember her talking about having UV hands. So I've always been super cognizant of, as in over the past few years, been more cognizant of putting sunscreen over my hands when I drive. Let's talk sunscreens and best non-toxics. If you go to your medicine cabinet at your parents' house, or if you go into your medicine cabinet now, maybe you're at a lake house, maybe you're on a boat and you open up the dashboard. You know, in a boat, you open up the dash and there's 6 bottles of sunscreen from, 2001. They're all melted, but you're like, oh, this is perfect anyways. We're on a boat. I don't care about anything. Let's care. Let's care this year. Here's the thing. If I could have it my way, we would all just be wearing big, beautiful hats, but still feeling the sun, but not being penetrated from UVA rays. It's not going to happen that we are all just wearing these large hats. We're going to be using some type of sunscreen for the most part. I get a little bit of Botox here and there. I don't want to be aging on top of my Botox. It's a absolute money down the drain type of thing. Anyone will tell you that without sunscreen, wrinkles are just a thing. Now, when you're looking at your sunscreen, the 2 ingredients to really look at when it comes to toxic sunscreen chemical ingredients are avobenzone and oxybenzone. Avobenzone is the chemical sunscreen ingredient that absorbs the UVA rays, and it says that it protects against long wave sun damage. However, there have been some studies, some in vitro studies, suggesting that it weakens estrogen activity, but only at very high levels. And then so basically saying that avobenzone could be an endocrine disruptor, which is not what we want. If you try and research any adverse effects of avobenzone or oxybenzone, you're not going to find a ton. It says like, oh yeah, it has to be used in high doses. I'm just of the nature that if you're going to be rubbing it all over your body, you're opening up your pores, like you're going to be sweating likely. It's going to just seep into your body more. That's what I think. You can also see that there have been a lot of sunscreen bans. I was in Bali last December, and where I was scuba diving, they were super, super strict. They made us show them all of our sunscreens, and they let us know, hey, you can't take this. Okay, this one's fine, because they were super, super protective about their reefs and the chemicals getting in the water, which total respect. That's great. And all our sunscreens were fine because I'm psychotic about it. And we're going to go into a few brands that do a good job of keeping it clean. Here's a few places this is what I thought was interesting. Here's a few places that have specific sunscreen bans. Hawaii has a sunscreen ban. They were actually the first state to ban sunscreens containing oxybenzone and octinoxate. Love that for me. So they are some of the people that said, hey, you can't have these because they're not as safe for the reefs, and we just don't want to keep these. The reefs are already dying. And then they had a Key West sunscreen ban, a Palau sunscreen ban. They really got rid of 10 different chemicals starting even just in 2020, which, okay. Mexico sunscreen bans, Bonaire, which is a great place for scuba diving, Aruba, U.S. Virgin Islands. And they gave a list on this sheet of paper. They gave a bunch of information, but I just feel like if it's one of those things where the absorption goes up and your pores are opening, you're rubbing the sunscreen all over you on a consistent basis. They say to reapply every 2 hours. So these are the two that you want to look out for. What I will also say is you also want to be looking out for the aerosols. So I know that the spray on sunscreen is such a great way to go. I have a Sunbum spray on mineral sunscreen, but I don't think it has perfect ingredients either, but I use it for touch-ups throughout the day. I use a big base of mineral-based sunscreen, and then I use touch-ups for my chest and neck, like the places that I really, really don't want to get wrinkles, but I try not to use that everywhere. I just use it like very sparingly on my chest and neck, just the thin skins. But again, this is interesting. Based on research, photo degradation, when avobenzone, which is one of the key ingredients in these sunscreens, when it breaks down in sunlight, its byproducts can generate free radicals. So here, if you listen to the last episode that I did, this was years ago, talking about sunscreens, I find it so challenging to believe that they aren't there's got to be research that's just hidden. Like, I think that the sunscreen industry is likely holding back on a lot of studies. I believe that a lot of these studies are also not done in the sun. There's got to be something, because if you're looking at this and you can see that free radicals, which are cancer-causing radicals potentially, like, we want to fight free radicals here, there's running rogue and rampant in our body. If sunlight mixes in with if avobenzone, this ingredient, breaks down in sunlight, that can cause free radicals, which may cause oxidative stress, which theoretically could contribute to DNA mutations. So there's that combination effect as well. Some research suggests that photodegradation avobenzone, chlorine plus chlorine from pool water, could also form toxic compounds that might irritate or damage skin. It says, if used correctly, avobenzone helps prevent skin cancer. However, it is just now telling us that if it breaks down in sunlight or it's combined with chlorine, then yeah, it could form toxic compounds. Tell me a situation in which you are using this ingredient and you're not either in a pool or in the sun. That is where I just get baffled. So there's the photodegradation, basically just degrading these chemicals. You mix them in with pool water from a chlorine, and then you're creating toxic compounds. It does not make sense to me. It doesn't. So I either have to swim in a saltwater pool, who has one, invite me, go in the ocean, which is great, but the ocean is still outside. It's like you're in trouble either way. You're in trouble either way. Meaning, find some sunscreens that do not contain avo or oxybenzone. We're going to go into a few that I like. I recently started using Cora Organics Silky Sun Drops. This is good for... Here's what I will say. This is expensive. I don't know if I would purchase it again. However, I really like the ingredients. I like the ingredients, and it made me look really dewy. This is the type of sunscreen that I like to wear if I'm going on a long walk. This is not the type of sunscreen that I would wear if I'm going to put makeup on with it, because it starts to pill a little bit. But it's great for a mineral-based sunscreen, and if you give it a second, it's a little greasy, to be honest, but I will take that because it makes me look dewy, and it doesn't leave that white sheen on your skin. And that's what we're really all worried about, is a lot of these mineral sunscreens, they just turn you purple and blue, and that's really not what I want. So a lot of the mineral sunscreens with like zinc oxide, I just don't want to look like a full-blown a full-blown lifeguard. I don't. Let me pull up this next one. Wouldn't it be great? Da-da. Oh, great. This is reef friendly. I like this. Okay. Here is another option. And this is what I like for a touch-up on day-to-days. I like a powder. I'm looking at this Row Wellness powder. This can be used. It's it's reef friendly. It's one of those ones, it looks like makeup and it's a cute little handheld package, but easy probably for babies, easy for touching up chest, neck, shoulders, face, and it won't take off your makeup and it's not something you have to super worry about throughout the day. Something I also want to talk about briefly because I don't want to give it too much airtime, but not a fan of the goop. I used to use it more frequently, and if it's the only thing around and you've got nothing less, then I understand, but I don't think that the ingredients are that incredible within goop. So I'm going to pull up the goop. Actually, no, I'm not. Didn't I just say I didn't want to give it that much? Oh, here's one that I have been using. Okay, here's one that I have been using on a daily basis, and as I look into it, it is good with hyaluronic acid. It's got hypoallergenic, however, it does have avobenzone. It doesn't have oxybenzone or octinoxate, which was one of the other ones that we talked about. So I have been wearing this underneath my makeup. I do think it's done really, really well, which I'm surprised by. It does actually feel pretty nourishing, doesn't leave a white cast at all, and it's the Eucerin Sun Age Defense. It's not the most number one clean, but it's super affordable. It's really good full coverage, and I think it feels good. It's not my number one for ingredients, but I think that as a middleman, this is a day-to-day one that I'm not wearing this if I'm super in the sun. Super in the sun, I have been using the sun drops because it doesn't have any of that breakdown in the sun. This one might have that, but that's why I use it just for more of my day-to-day. There's not a ton of time in the sun. This wouldn't be my number one stunna for protection. Overall, I wanted to break these down with you because there are so many brands out there that carry toxic chemicals that do break down in the sun, do break down with chlorine, and it's something that as we get into the warmer months, we wanted to make sure we're covering all of our bases. So do your due diligence. Add a couple of these to your list. Maybe it is a little bit more of an investment, so maybe you could get 2 of these, one that is more middle of the road, that does have some avobenzone that Actually, I'm not even going to recommend that because the whole point is no avobenzone, no oxybenzone, but I like the Coola brand, Coola. They do a great job. Just do your due diligence. Take a look at the ingredients. If they read avobenzone, oxybenzone, and octinoxate, those are the ones to avoid. Go mineral-based. You may have to do a little bit of research on your own end based on your skin. My skin seems to... I have a pretty combination skin, so some days it's oily, some days it's not. When it is oily, I'm like, great, it just soaks all in and I don't have any white cast. And on days where it's cooperating with me, I have a little bit of white cast and I just get over it. Overall, want you all to be healthy, want you guys to be careful in the sun and enjoy your time and not have to worry about having a white cast or having your sunscreen breaking down on you in the sun. Where else are you going to wear it? I hope this has been a informative and entertaining episode. Go get your bars, go get your protein, go get your fiber, go get your sunscreen. I will talk to you all next week.